The dark presses in on all sides, so many people in the courtyard. On the other side of the wall, Jesus is being whipped to shreds by Roman soldiers, his cries of pain muted by thick wails of the murmur of the crowd. His most willing disciple waits outside, likely seeking news that Jesus will soon be released. But while Peter waits for news, he denies even knowing Jesus. If you're wondering what this is a little story I wrote about love. I know what you're thinking, how can this be about love? And this different view of the world is why I've been called starry-eyed, clueless, outrightly called naive. I've heard it all, but I'm not the problem here. When you ask people what love is, they say, love is a set of emotions and behaviors characterized by intimacy, passion, commitment. And whilst all this is great and beautiful, it is the presence of love, and then real life happens. Then the very same people turn around and say love is not enough. You know, that spouse got really sick. All the savings had been spent on them and nothing is improving. So you get a divorce, you save yourself. That friend lost their job. Now they are dependent to you to provide for their families. It's too much pressure on your finances. So you block them, you save yourself. Or that company you've worked for 5 years with amazing salary suddenly takes a loss. And then they cut down your pay. So you resign, you save yourself. That's reality. Now let's take a look at what love is. Peter, a disciple of Jesus, had a special bond with him. He genuinely loved Jesus. He swore up and down that he would stand by him, and then reality happened. Jesus was arrested. And not only did Peter save himself, he even denied knowing Jesus. Over the years, there's been a lot of speculations as to Peter's denial. A lot of people said he did it out of fear for his life, that he behaved cowardly in that moment. And whilst that may be true, based on some journaled facts, I do not agree that Peter was a coward or he denied Jesus out of fear for his life, because he's demonstrated courage time and time again. We are told that a wind can sweep through the mountains northeast of the Sea of Galilee and turn the surface of the water into a churning mass of death-dealing waves before a boat in the middle could reach the safety of the shore. It can become a raging sea. Under these conditions, Peter made a living fishing on the Sea of Galilee. That's no work for a coward. Peter had been with Jesus in Jerusalem when religious leaders stirred up people to get them to stone Jesus. So it's reasonable to assume that Peter and the others were aware that there was a plot against Jesus, and they were in danger when they went to Jerusalem with him. When news reached that Lazarus was sick and they were to go to Bethany, the disciples reminded Jesus that people had tried to stone him the last time they were in Jerusalem. And Thomas said, let's go so that we may die with him. When Jesus was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane, it was Peter who pulled the sword and cut off one of the soldiers' ears. Surely you didn't think he was going for the ears. He wanted to cut off the head. And he did not grab the sword from any of the soldiers. He took one with him. So it's logical to assume that his intent was to protect his master, even if it meant his own death. He was ready to lay down his life for Jesus. He also had a home and a wife in Capernaum. So this isn't a decision he would have made lightly. In the presence of love, he swore to protect Jesus. But when reality happened, love wasn't enough. Peter's life wasn't even in danger. Jesus had identified himself and asked the soldiers to let the disciples go. So why did he deny Jesus? I think what Peter experienced was a special kind of fear. Fear of ridicule, fear of being mocked, fear that somebody would laugh at him. He wasn't questioned by any authority figure. He denied Jesus to slaves in the courtyard. These people had no authority over him. What was the worst they could do to him? They could laugh at him, mock him, say to him that, oh, how do you feel spending 3 years of your life with a charlatan? Or, oh, that person really made a fool of you, didn't they? And when this knowledge came to me, I wept because I resonate with it. Peter is you and I. Every time we stay silent in the face of injustice, every time God tells us to do something, but we don't because we are afraid of being mocked. Martin Luther once said, if you do not confess Christ at the point of attack, You have denied him, no matter how loudly you profess him. And can you imagine how Jesus must have felt? One disciple sold him out to get tortured and murdered for 30 shekels of silver, and the other, his best friend, that could have stood as witness for him, denied him. If you've ever experienced betrayal, you'll know that must cut deep. A lot of people would seek revenge. But Jesus forgave. He took Peter back, ate with him, and restored him with peace. We all know how badly Peter felt. The thing is, Jesus forgave Peter long before the incident happened, when he foretold Peter about it. He believed in Peter that he would learn from his mistakes and become a better version of himself. He also knew that they could move past the betrayal and have a better relationship in future. He endured the pain of betrayal because of his love for Peter. Love endures all things, believes all things, and conquers all things. That is love. Namaste.